So welcome to Chillingham Castle, the most haunted castle in the whole of the UK, with reputably more than 100 ghosts haunting the castle. And if you're brave enough, you can stop overnight, or you can book yourself onto a ghost tour, which apparently takes about 4 hours, so well worth the money if you're into that type of thing. If you're of a nervous disposition, please don't watch this any further, because we're going to see and we're going to hear about some very, very scary and grisly details from the castle's history. From the castle executioner John Sage, who tortured and killed over 1,000 people, to the kings and queens of England that over the centuries have stopped here. This is a video definitely not made for children or anybody that is slightly nervous. Initially built as a monastery, it became a fortified castle as Chillingham Castle in 1344. The castle today is the home of Sir Humphrey Wakefield. 1246, it's been one continuous bloodline that has owned this castle. That over the years, 8 members of the family have been convicted of high treason and all got hung, drawn and quartered, with the head placed on a spike above the castle walls. Now, I have been here before. I took my grandson Harry Metalman here about 10 years ago. But for me, this is what a proper castle would have been like. It's still lived in today. But as we walk through, you'll see exactly what I mean about it being a proper castle. It's not one of these grand, very elegant places. It's what a castle would have been like back in the day. I think this side of the castle is the private quarters of the family. So this was the barrel of nails that a prisoner would be put in, and the barrel would be rolled round and round until eventually the prisoner was skinned alive. What a place to end your days. Absolutely horrific. So the castle itself is situated just north of Alnwick in Northumberland, about 20 miles away from the Scottish border. Back in the day when King Edward I, the Hammer of the Scots, used the castle as a base, went up to Scotland to battle with William Wallace of Braveheart fame. So over the years it's been a place of war, torture and death. A lot of that was at the hands of a man called John Sage, who was the executioner and the torturer of Chillingham Castle. And his time at the castle, he was supposed to have tortured and killed over 1,000 people. So, not a man that you want to meet. So, Edward I's room, otherwise known as the killing room. So at the end of the war with the Scots, the English had a lot of prisoners that were based at Chillingham Castle. And John Sage came up with a very novel way of getting rid of the prisoners. He herded the men, women and older children down in the courtyard and he burnt them all alive. The younger children were in this room here and they watched the families being burnt to death. Sage then came up into this room and he hacked the younger children to death with an axe that is still in the castle today. Deliberately came outside to talk about this ghost. It's the ghost that haunts the King Edward's room, or the killing room, which is supposed to be very, very aggressive, and over the years has attacked several people. So anybody fancy an overnight stay? I mentioned that to Mrs. Metalman. I've never seen her since. She took the car keys and scarpered. So I don't think she's keen. So castle executioner John Sage did not get off lightly. After strangling his lover on the rack during a sex game in the torture chamber, he was publicly hanged after first having his fingers, toes, nose, lips and genitals cut off. So as well as hearing voices and seeing ghosts wandering around the courtyard, the ghost of John Sage is said to haunt the castle courtyard as well. Bit of a grisly end for a very grisly person. So one of the ghosts is supposed to be very friendly, and that's the ghost of the Blue Boy. His remains were discovered during renovation work at the castle, and the boy's fingers and fingernails were broken, which indicates he was bricked in the wall alive. Before he visits, a blue halo appears from the wall, and apparently he's a much loved ghost at the castle. Despite that, I hope I don't see him. The Grey Lady, the ghost of Lady Mary Berkeley, still haunts the castle, and the rustling sound of a long skirt is heard before she appears. Apparently she is still looking for her husband, who in 1682 ran off with her sister Henrietta, leaving Lady Mary heartbroken and with a baby daughter. She may not be a particularly friendly ghost, especially if you're male. So the castle tea room, below the tea room was the original dungeons and torture chamber. Years ago they conducted a séance down there, which ended very, very badly. So that was completely sealed off. So whatever they found down there was sealed up and locked down there. So 1245, King Henry III came to Chillingham Castle, as did James I and Charles I. Charles I stopped for 3 days before he was arrested for high treason, imprisoned and beheaded in January 1649. His apparent last wish was that as he was executed he could wear 2 shirts. He was concerned that he might shake due to the cold weather. He didn't want to give the appearance he was afraid. Either way, one blow of the axe removed his head and killed him instantly. So the torture chamber is open to the public, but not the original torture chamber. The original one is located under the castle tea rooms and was closed off after a séance was performed there, and a very, very terrifying end resulted. Tea and crumpet, anybody? So inside the torture chamber they have the iron wheel, the iron maiden, the iron chair and the rack where people were stretched until their joints popped. Prisoners were also impaled, boiled alive and starved to death. I can thoroughly recommend my favourite castle in Northumberland, Chillingham Castle, for a visit. Not only for a visit, a very reasonably priced visit as well. £10.50 for an adult or £9.50 for a concession. Children under 16, £6.50. A family ticket, £26. Absolutely a fantastic value, and what an absolutely brilliant day out. But to be quite honest, you could spend a full day here. No doubt we will be back here again very, very soon. If you've watched the video all the way through, thank you very much. If you've enjoyed it, click on the like button. I really appreciate that. Why not consider subscribing? Won't be too long before I'm back out again. Cheers.